Welcome, everybody, to this first theory portion of the subtler dimensions of asana practice workshop. As usual, I would like to acknowledge the lineage of Hatha Yoga teachers all over the world and Dr. M.A. Jayashree's pristine chants, which are interspersed throughout this presentation. So this is the contents. We'll start off by saying what Hatha Yoga is, what its purpose is. Then we'll look into the ancient texts on Hatha Yoga. We'll talk about Agni, the fire in the body. Then we will move into the sacred concept of bandhas, the gateway to the divine. Then we'll talk about diet for lightness of the body. It's called Angalagavam. We'll talk about prana, the life force. Then mudras, awakening the Shakti. Energy flow, subtle energy points, and mind states. And finally, we'll talk about the yogi and their destiny. So we will start with a small chant in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Shri Adinathaya Namostu Tasmai Yenopadishta Hatha Yoga Vidya Vibhrajate Pronnata Raja Yogam Arodhumichoradhirohiniva.
Okay, so what is Hatha Yoga? So people wrongly pronounce this as Hatha. No, it is Hatha, the second Ta. So Hatha, literally, if you look at the Sanskrit dictionary, it'll say Hatha means forceful, force. So Hatha Yoga uses the force or the force to raise the prana, to channel it and to maneuver it in the body where you want. And because the word force was there, people got scared in those days. So the joke is that then people kind of soften the image um, to interpret it as the union of the sun and the moon. Ha stands for sun, and Ta stands for moon. So the origins, if you see Yoga Sutras, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, around 400 BC, nobody exactly knows, but somewhere around that time, or maybe even earlier. The first Hatha Yoga documentation that we know of is around 900 CE, around the time of Shankaracharya. It was started by the Nath community, Naths. The two great teachers of the Nath tradition were Matsyendranath and Gorakhnath. So I'd like to tell you a small story of Matsyendranath. So it happened that there was a child which was born in inauspicious circumstances in a village. So some of the villagers thought that this child will bring bad luck to their village. So they stole the child from the mother and threw the child into the ocean. And this child was swallowed by a big fish, probably a whale shark, let's say, a large fish. And this child grew up in the stomach of the fish. One day, Shiva wanted to tell the greatness of yoga to Parvati, his wife. So Shiva is the great Lord, and Parvati asks him about what Hatha Yoga is. So Shiva wants to tell it, but he wants to do that in a place where this is not overheard by miscreants, so that the knowledge is put to wrong use. So he goes deep into the ocean, and there he imparts knowledge to Parvati. At that time, this fish was swimming around, and this child in the stomach of the fish, the child hears the entire knowledge of Hatha Yoga. Then one day, many years pass, and this fish was caught, and where the fishermen catch the fish, and they open up the stomach, and from the stomach comes a young man, a great yogi. This yogi was called Matsyendranath. Matsya means fish, so the lord of the fishes. So Matsyendranath emerged, and he becomes a great teacher of the Nath Sampradaya. So this is the legend of Matsyendranath. Now we will look into the difference in the purpose of asanas in the Patanjalic system and the Hatha Yogic system. So um, yoga scholars, they divide asana practice into two kinds. One is called the Patanjali system, other is called the Hatha Yoga system. Now we saw that the Hatha Yoga scholars or asana scholars, they divide the asana system into two kinds. Loosely, you can say yin and the yang. So yin is the more relaxing. So they call it the Patanjali system. That's what Dr. Nagendra calls it. Then the other is the energizing system. It is the Hatha Yoga system. In the Patanjali system, asanas are used to settle the conflicts in the mind and get it ready for meditation.
ततो द्वन्द्वानभिघातः
So the Yoga Sutras say, Tatho Dvandva Anabhigataha. The conflicts, dualities in the mind are removed, and the mind is gotten ready for meditation. In the Hatha Yoga system, it is using heat to forge the body and make it strong and unwavering for contemplation. So asanas are used for this purpose. In the Patanjali system, very little importance is given to asanas. 3 sutras out of 196 talk about asanas. Excuse me. In the Hatha Yoga system, typically 1/4 of the text is devoted for asanas. And in the Patanjali system, little mention of pranayama and of prana, no mention of bandhas. In the Hatha Yoga system, there's significant emphasis on prana and the bandhas. Okay.
So one question. When you say Patanjali, is it out of Ashtanga Yoga? Comparing with yoga?
Yeah. So the asanas and pranayama in the Ashtanga Yoga system of Patanjali, correct? Yeah, that's where he mentions the asana and pranayama. And in the Patanjali system, he gives very little importance to just 3 out of 196. Whereas in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, 1/4 of the text is allocated to asanas. Pranayama is more important, but it's a little more. So you will see another example. So another shloka from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it says that the Hatha Yoga, it is the aspirant's stairway to Raja Yoga. That is the only reason for Hatha Yoga. Raja Yoga is this deep states of samadhi, which Patanjali talks about in the first chapters of yoga. It's also known by the name Raja Yoga. So, Kevalam Raja Yogasya, that's the purpose of Hatha Yoga is to get to that state of the entry point for Raja Yoga. So it's the aspirant's stairway to Raja Yoga. That's what Swatmarama says. So the Hatha Yoga, all this purification, it is to get to that state. Okay. Then in the Patanjali system, he doesn't talk about prana and bandhas. Though Udana Jayat, Jalapanka, Kantakadish, Vasanga, Ukrantisha, he talks about on the Siddhis. He mentions 2 sutras on different of prana. So there's prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana, right? So samana jayat jwalanam, because the prana which lives here around the Agni, if you make it strong, Patanjali says, you get radiance, your skin will be radiant. And by tapping into udana, you will get lightness of the body. You can levitate. Udana jayat Jala, Panka is mud, Kantaka is thorns, Adishu, etc. Asanga, you won't come in Asanga, Ukrantischa, you levitate over them. That's what Patanjali says. But Udana, even if we can't levitate, Udana is a very core component of Hatha Yoga practice. By using all these bandhas, the feeling you would get is lightness, levitation. So in fact, in Hatha Yoga, one of the first sloka Hatasya Pratamangatvam Asanam Purvamuchate Kuryat Tadasanam Stairyam Arogyam Angalagavam. Stairyam, you get stability, right? Your mind and body are stable. Arogyam, well-being, and Angalagavam, body, lightness of the body. So this is a very important thing in asana practice. In fact, people, I know a lot of my friends who've been doing this for a long time, their lifestyles change. One of the teachers, Richard Freeman, he would joke saying that this yoga practice ruins your life. And then he'll say your samsaric life, because you wake up at, you don't have a night life, you go to bed by 9. So apparently one of my friends who's from Spain, he's a teacher there, his entire social life is destroyed. It's gone, because in Spain they only start partying at 9, 12. The dinner starts at 9, and he's in bed by 9 because he wakes up at 4 to practice asanas and teach from. So that's anyway, but I deviated. But in Hatha Yoga, there's a significant emphasis on prana and on the bandhas. These others, okay. So what's the purpose of asanas in Hatha Yoga? We will just listen to this quote, Pattabhi Joyce's favorite quote that is Pattabhi Joyce's grandson, Sharad. This is from Mundaka Upanishad. It's a very famous quote. Okay, everybody quotes this. Okay. We will listen to Pattabhi Joyce's voice. So people in the room, bear with me if it's not audible, and the Zoom people should hear.
You can understand. Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhyaha. Balahina means weak body, you don't get it impossible. You take practice, yoga practice, some asanas you do, that's disease is going only for 6 months. And
okay, was it okay for the Zoom people? Could you hear it?
Yes.
Okay, so Nayam Atma, this Atma cannot be found by a Balahina, devoid of strength, weak body, Balahinena Labhyaha. Then it also, the famous series of shlokas from Mundaka Upanishad, Na Medaya, Na Bahuna Shrutena, by intellect, Medavi is like intellectual, not by intellect. You can't find the Atma by intellect. Now, Bahuna Shrutena, all the scriptures listening to, Tameva, one who's ready, who has the burning fire to find the Atma, to him alone it reveals itself. That's what it says. Anyway, but Pattabhi Joyce would always quote this. So there's some reference here if you want to see that later. So in a minute or I'll wind up, getting close to the end of the class. So asanas, therefore, it is to get, we saw that stairyam, stability of the body, arogyam, and angalagavam, hatrasya prathamangatvam. Let's hear Jayashree's.
Hatasya prathamangatvat asanam purvamuchyate kuryat tadasanam stairyam arogyam changalaghavam.
Okay, so what's happening here is the microphone is getting transmitted to that one. So anyway, fix that in a minute.
And see, does it can increase the volume here?
Yeah, and also the microphone, I have to make it this one so it's closer to me.
Yeah, try now.
There, yeah.
Try now.
Let's see. Let me play that once more. Sorry for inconvenience.
हठस्य प्रथमां गत्वा
This is good.
आसनं पूर्वमुच्यते कुर्यात् तदासनं स्थैर्यम् आरोग्यं चाङ्गलाघवम्.
Okay, so that is the purpose of what happens when you do Hatha Yoga purpose. And Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, it talks about, so asana is a specific position which opens the energy channels and the psychic centers. Hatha Yoga, as we saw, it's a process for purification, Gata Shuddhim Samacharet, right? And balance, restructuring the pranic flows. It says that when the prana begins to flow, the toxins are removed. And you'll be able to bend and stretch and do all this thing. And when the store of prana is increased, if they say you'll have so much lightness that the body will move on its own. And you can do postures which you've not been able to do before. Yeah, so the entire asana practice is how is your relationship with prana, how that improves. In fact, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 4.2, fourth chapter, Nimittam Aprayojakam, he says, instruments, all these things to do fancy stuff, they're useless. Aprayojakam, Prakriti nam Varana Bedastu Tata Kshetrikavat. Like a farmer, what does he do? He doesn't take water from the river and pour it all the way, right? He builds bunds. Bunds is all these grooves, right? And that's how he gets water. So he clears the obstacles for the flow of water to the fields. Nimittam aprayojakam prakritinam. Varana Prakriti here refers to the prana, for the flow of Prakriti. Varana Bedastu, removing the obstacles. Tata Kshetrikavata, like Kshetra is field, Kshetrika is farmer. Kshetrikavata means like a Kshetrika farmer. This is the way to do it. So it's all about prana. That's why this is the most important thing in Hatha Yoga. Okay, now I think I have to be respectful of people's time. So I will stop here. I will stop the recording.